Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, the Hump Day edition of the Moose Minute Project. That's right, it's sunny in southwest Wisconsin. However, it is negative a lot. It is cold, it is brisk. It will wake you up if you step outside. This morning when I let the dogs out, and definitely will wake you up. So, it's ridiculous. That's right, the Moose Minute Project, I have titled It's Ridiculous. On the way to work today, I'm hearing the news, and Big Pharma, of course, is getting looked at and evaluated for not having an open book policy. And some of the middlemen are getting in trouble for marking up medications. And they want to work now on making sure that the pharma industry is more open book. Due to the fact that some medications were marked up 1,000%. That's right, 1,000%. And we're talking some of the players in the industry were making, billion-dollar revenues. So if you're marking up things 1,000%, you can kind of see where things were headed. And yet we're worried about other things. When do we start really focusing on things like this and making it a priority? Oh, wait, Big Pharma probably has their hand in places where that happens, and then it won't be looked at. That's my guess, right? When you're figuring people are marking up things 1,000%, it's crazy. Everybody thought when I was in the industry of power sports, which somewhat I still am with making the turn signal kits and stuff, but when I was the sales manager in the power sports world, if you made 5 to 10% there for a while, 5% was big deal. So you figure that on a $10,000 or $15,000 unit, and you're making 5%, you can do the math on that pretty simple. And it's not much different now. I was in the business 15 years, and you figure for my last 2 or 3, probably the last 2 since 2020, profits were finally being made. Dealers weren't and this is where having good salespeople is a huge thing. And I think the lack of training and the lack of management training and doing all that, if you sell on price, that's easy. You can sell on price all day long. Be the cheapest, race to the bottom, race to zero. And when there's nothing left, it's easy to sell. It's when you have to sell on loyalty and you have to sell on what you can do for the person as a business and making sure that all of their stuff is handled is a whole nother issue. And salespeople tend to not like to try to work that in. They are so focused on price. Why do you think McDonald's dollars menu or anybody's dollar menu or whatever it may be is so popular? It's an easy sell. If you're showing $25,000 units now with $9,000 off, from the last 2 years to now, you have totally decimated your value and what was being brought to the table. Because people now know that, there was that margin. So now instead of making 10%, people are going to be back to making 5%. Because they have no other way to sell. People just don't know how to sell the prior to personally being taken care of. If you buy from us and there's a recall and we don't have the part, but yet there's a unit sitting out on the showroom that's been taken, we will take that off and fix it for you. You come into service and you're on snowmobile and you need to get up riding, we will push you to the front of the line. There's things called loyalty. But there is no loyalty now with the internet. I see it every day. And it's even in our business with the turn signal kits. Oh, cripe sakes, that's way too much. I can find it here or there. Then pretty soon you see a post of, well, I put these little lights as the turn signals and, in the back, and that's how, when ours integrated all. So people don't look at what you're bringing to the table. They look at price. Oh, I can get a turn signal kit for $99. But you don't know how it's jointed. You don't know how it's put together. But now you take a look at the UTV world. During COVID, you couldn't get them in stock. And now that you can, they are offered, because everything is ramped up. Everything is ramped up. Production, everything is ramped up. And during COVID, dealers were ordering as much as they could, and they were selling through it. So now the manufacturer goes, well, in 2020 and 2021, you did X amount of units, so you need to be able to do that again. No, times have changed again. And it's always coming back to convince the manufacturer to say, hey, stop, enough's enough. We have to slow down here. So if you're not going to stand up and do that, then the manufacturer is going to load you up, and then you're going to be having to go to the race to the bottom. And you are going to race to the bottom while you yell at all the other dealers before of why they weren't charging this or charging that. It's because you got a weak sales force. It's because you have a weak sales department that is not trained in doing what they should do. And they are just giving out numbers. They're giving out, I always used to find it funny when a manufacturer would come out with either salesman spiffs or a big rebate. That is the machine that always sold way ahead of everything else. That's because a salesperson doesn't have to actually work. The salesperson can say, dude, this unit's got, like the Ridge now, I'm seeing people advertising them for $9,000 off. You don't have to be a salesman to sell a $9,000 off unit. You can be on the phone and take that order. And then if you're taking away all the other fees that you used to charge or are charging less just to cover things because now you're inundated with so much inventory, you could have somebody sitting at the desk and just answering phone calls and writing names and numbers. It's pretty simple. You have to make sure you're a sales force. And this is where Big Pharma right now, nobody is fact checking them or spot checking them or anything else. They're not being held accountable. So when you hear that Big Pharma people in between are in trouble now because they're marking up product by 1,000%, just think about that. Take one, if you're a business owner, take one menu item and mark it up 1,000%. And if that is selling, would you change it? Absolutely not. So who's going to regulate Big Pharma so you and I don't have to continue to pay outrageous? Trust me, I'm a diabetic, had a seizure, had a stroke. I take a few medications, and they're ridiculous. The sensors, I don't wear them anymore because they were way inaccurate, but they were too expensive. I couldn't get them to cover that. And why is that? Now that I'm starting to see that, the middleman priced up this medication 1,000%. And yes, insulin before was on that. And if you want to complain about the past president, go ahead. But they capped insulin at 75, I think it's $35 or something like that, but they capped it. And that's what needs to happen. We need to start doing more and more of this. Because if you can take your menu items and take everybody else out, so you have no other place in town that sells burgers, mark your burgers up 1,000% and you have no other regulations, you're going to be sitting in high cotton all year. So when are we going to start to regulate big pharma and take some of these things on and make sure that, and this is where we all are right now, is we go, government's so crooked. Our government is crooked, and everybody agrees on it, that they are liars and it's crooked. Because of when are we going to hit these guys heads on and get citizens back to believing in our government? And trust me, everybody can tell me that the new president coming in is going to, I'm sorry, not going to happen. Nobody, you got to be able to trust people, and nobody trusts anybody in government. And why is it? Because of instances like this, when medications and everything are through the roof, insurance is through the roof. Try to take a business and then offer insurance to your employees. It's impossible, especially if you're a small business, 5, 6 employees, 7 employees. It's impossible. And it's because of these asinine prices. And then look at your stays now in hospitals or ambulance rides. Both ambulance rides were stupid money. And it's just crazy to think that that is where we're at. And so we need to start checks and balances and start holding these people accountable. You're worried about people defunding or fraudulently getting welfare or food stamp or what. Big pharma is a bigger joke as far as ripping off people than any of the immigrants coming across the border or the people that people are worried about. That industry isn't doing those guys aren't doing anything to the numbers compared to what pharma is doing to us as people. They're ripping us off blind, and none of us pay attention because it's life or death for a lot of it. And then you have instances where people aren't covered, and you're misusing this thing, so we're not going to cover you here. And the misuse is an inhaler or something along those lines. That maybe you don't need your inhaler for a week. You've done good. But all of a sudden now, and then they're going to say, oh, nope, can't cover you. You haven't been using your inhaler properly. How the hell do they know? All it is what they want to cover and don't want to cover. And then how much are you going to battle to do it when it's a life or death scenario? Seizure medications for me. I can't quit taking them because the odds of having another seizure would be probably pretty good if I quit taking my seizure medications. And if I go unconscious, then I can't drive. And if I can't drive, how do I go to work? It all just stacks. So then they have you by the short hairs, as my family members used to say. Consider my dad and my mom. Nothing worse than being held by the short hairs. I know that. And that's right now where they have us. This whole medication thing, the whole insurance thing, hospitals. I'm writing checks to the Sauk Hospital or anything like that because insurance has a $6,000 deductible or a $7,000. It's asinine. So we need to start figuring that out. And, when is that going to happen? I don't know. It's probably just another thing to allow us until we can get people to run that will be not influenced, but it's too late. We have way too many old, lifelong members that just are riding out their time collecting checks that don't seem to be too amped up about helping any of that. That's my input today on the Moose Minute Project. But it's absolutely ridiculous when I heard that this morning, that they are marking things up 1,000% and making billions of dollars. Yeah, that's with a B, not an M, a B. Billions. And then I also heard that TikTok, because it may be banned, we hear that now, that TikTok, and I'm not on TikTok. I watch some great things on TikTok, and I watch a lot of funny things on TikTok, but it sounds like Mr. Musk might be offered to buy TikTok, according to news as well. So that's interesting. So not only would he own every other social platform, he would own TikTok too. So I'm guessing if you would be on the left side of things, if you would promote them at all on any social media after that, it's all going to be right-wing propaganda, which now takes it left wing, right wing. It'll be just one wing, which probably will make a lot of people happy. And that's the last part I'm going to end it on, is if you are a diehard right-wing person, I'm okay with it. You and I are friends. I'm okay. I've got a lot of friends that hang out on the right side a lot. And I'm not diehard left. I want to come back to the middle, to where we can get rid of the big pharma problem, the medication problem, start taking care of our human beings and citizens here, such as the military, wounded vets. I don't care if you have guns. Really don't care. I have quite a few of them. My neighbor has a lot of them. I don't think you need a 30-round clip unless you're a really bad fucking shot, but I don't think you need that. You know, my son has one in his squad car. But I don't think the general public needs a banana clip for their weapon. A Glock 9mm comes with a 17-round clip inside. That's plenty. Handguns are a little less accurate, but to put 30 rounds in a long gun, you're just a shit shot. That's what it is if you need that many. And if your argument is, well, it's my right, not necessarily. Back when all that was wrote on paper by government, they were still pushing wads and using gunpowder and musket balls. So if you want to go back to that scenario. So that's where I'm at. It's just today's news pissed me off with the whole medication, and I knew it was bad. I just didn't know there was actual names for the middlemen, and then how bad the middlemen are screwing the whole thing up by charging 1,000% and making billions of dollars on that. And we have to start looking into that. And honestly, taking care of our seniors, vets, and everybody else, where our seniors are not having to fork out every dollar on their medications. My dad, I look at what they pay out of pocket. It's asinine for people to try to retire. They're living on not a whole lot of pension or Social Security, and then the out-of-pocket for medications is stupid. And I'll say that. When I'm at December and all of a sudden my meds are free for a month, I'm ecstatic because we reached our $7,000 deductible or $6,000 deductible. And our insurance is still a lot of money every month. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll run for government. Nah, I'm not going to run for that. My closet, they'll tear that apart and look for past problems, and who knows what they'll find there. Probably back when I was smoking weed when I was 21 or 22 and I drank a lot, and something like that, or I said some off-colored joke way back when. So probably won't run for that. They want to go back to all your taxes, and I don't want people seeing my taxes. Oh wait, I don't care. They can see my taxes. I was broke. Not too hard to evaluate zero. So have a great day. I'm going to go in and sell some stuff today. That's what I'm going to do. Thanks for tuning in today. And as always, take time to bless somebody. And enjoy the warm weather if you're in warm climate. Because it is negative degrees here. So, and that is Fahrenheit. Negative, I think they said 3 or 4. And we're heading to 40 on Friday, I think. And then back to 4 by Sunday. So, typical Wisconsin weather. So, have a great day. And again, take time to bless somebody, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with another Moose Minute project.